Hello, 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 and welcome to the Texarkist Live. I am Shane Moore.
And I'm Sue Ellen.
And we welcome you. Tonight we'll be talking and discussing the mysterious case of Elisa Lam and new updates, new information concerning the case. And boy, is it a big one. It's certainly turned out to be a lot more than I first thought, and it just seems to go on and on and on. So,
and you definitely put in a lot of work on this. You took it so far down the rabbit hole that now I actually believe that it might be possible that we could solve this case.
Well, that's the plan, and I'm still going. It is incredible how that I thought that it would just be a maybe a difficult one, but not anything like it is, and it is much more than people think it is. Of course, I mean, I know that there's many people that...
Yeah, you initially planned to
do what now?
You initially planned to do just part one and part two.
Right.
and then got completely overwhelmed and went into your research like he was a mad and never seen you so excited and so devoted to something. So this is going to be a very meaningful topic.
This one is one that you really have to be loaded for bear for this one, because it is a doozy. It's much more than just about Elisa Lam. There's a bigger picture here, and it's just it's incredible. It really is, and
you have to prepare yourself. I literally cried, even while watching some of this footage, and had to call Shane up and they watch it with me, and it's very dark. So definitely be prepared. Buckle your seatbelt.
Yes, and there has been so much misinformation, and I'm not sure if it was purposefully done, but there are many YouTube channels, many mainstream media articles, reports that are they are so far off on facts. And what I did was started with the facts from the official court records, and that's what I'm going by is the depositions and what has been established as far as facts, and such as when she arrived in Los Angeles, and in just a short time I will give the backstory to this, and just for those of you that aren't that don't know the story, which this was a huge story back in 2013 when it took place. So anyway, we will.
And there's actually a lot of reasons that it got put on shows like American Horror Story, and the story about the Cecil is everywhere because it's so dark. It goes so deep
Yeah.
into, from serial murder to vaccines to, I mean, as crazy as you can go, and you can, in the conspiracy realm, this is where it goes. But we're going to show you how it goes and and what it really is,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's connected.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, she was staying at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, and which is notorious. It's probably the worst hotel you could stay at in Los Angeles. It's right by Skid Row, and it was where Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, stayed in 1984, 1985, somewhere around there. And then Jack Unterweger in 1991, I believe, that was an Austrian serial killer, stayed there. And that was when they were committing murders. I mean, and then there's been different, suicides. I think a total of maybe 20 people, 15, 20 people have died there. Either they were murdered or they've committed suicide, which has gained the Cecil the moniker of being the suicide hotel. And so that's definitely not a place that you would want to stay. And that's why that's a question that I have is why did she stay there? Why did she choose to stay there? And then second question is did she choose? Was it her choice? That's something to ponder. But anyway, we will. Let me pull this up real quick about the backstory, and I'm just going to read it. It says, Elisa Lam, well, good grief. Just a sec. Okay. Elisa Lam, she was a Canadian student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. She was traveling, wanted to make go on vacation by herself and travel California, different sites in California, and did so by herself. She was 21. And basically wanted to prove to her parents, hey Mona, hey Jacob, glad you made it. She was 21 and basically wanted to prove to her parents, to her family, that she could go on a trip like this by herself. She did have a problem with depression, and she was, it's been said, I'm not sure if she was officially diagnosed with that she was bipolar, but she was taking medication for depression and anxiety and things like that. So, but she began her trip in San Diego. Okay, so she was from Vancouver, British Columbia, but this is what many people miss, is she didn't start her vacation, her trip from Vancouver. She was already on another trip. She was in Montreal, and that's when she began her trip back to Vancouver, and then to San Diego. And it's been said that she left from Vancouver, went to San Diego, and that's wrong. She first stopped in Vancouver, once again, to see her family, and then to San Diego. And she didn't travel by Amtrak and bus to San Diego, as it's been said by many. She flew. She took a plane. So there's another thing there. So her itinerary, many people say that Los Angeles was not one of her stops, but it was. She posted on her Tumblr account that she was going to stop and visit Las Vegas and Los Angeles. Got the two losses mixed up. And so that was one of the things. It was one of the deals. So, but anyway, there's, like I said, there's so much misinformation that I think that it's meant to lead people astray. Meant to draw people away from the truth of what really happened. And I'm just going to put it out there. We're just going to put it out there and let people make up their own minds about this. So. Okay. Well, pulling up the story of Elisa Lam. Are you still there, Sue Ellen? Hello? Sue Ellen, did I lose you? Hello? I guess we lost Sue Ellen. I don't know. Okay. Well, let me see here. Okay. The body of Elisa Lam, also known by her Cantonese name Lam Ho Yi, born April 30th, 1991, her body was found February 19th, 2013, atop the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles in a water tank, one of their water tanks. She had been reported missing at the beginning of the month, which was around midnight, January 31st, maybe after midnight. Anyway, okay, you got bumped off. Okay, let me call you back and That's unusual, but anyway. Okay. Okay, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you.
I can hear you. I can hear you fine. I guess everybody can hear me.
That's right. We couldn't hear you. But I'm looking for the bio of Elisa Lamb because it like dropped or something, and
Okay.
so it comes up the death of Elisa Lamb. Elisa Lamb bio for me is like no longer there. So I'm reading the death of Elisa Lamb, which is also her bio. So just to give people a backstory, so she was a Canadian student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, and her body was recovered from a water tank atop the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles on February 19th, 2013. She had been reported missing at the beginning of the month. Maintenance workers at the hotel discovered the body when investigating guest complaints of problems with the water supply. Now, just to give you how okay, very loud. Is it too loud, Mona? Okay, but her disappearance had been widely reported. Interest had increased 5 days prior to her body's discovery when the Los Angeles Police Department released a video of the last time she was known to have been seen on the day of her disappearance by an elevator security camera. There's a lot of something going on with you, Sue Ellen. I'm not sure what it is, but a lot of
Somebody decided to drive by with a a little moped.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't your phone messing up or whatever. But so they released a video. I'm sure most of you have seen the creepy video of her going into the elevator.
That was the one that creeped me.
Yeah. It's very unsettling to say the least, and her actions. She is talking to someone that is not there as far as we can see. It's like she's talking to a ghost or to somebody that is invisible, and we'll get to a big thing about that in just a little while. Okay, good, very good. Thank you, Mona. But she then begins to move in ways that seemingly only a person that is double jointed or maybe triple jointed, like that's possible, but could move. It's not usual movements, like twisting, like, turning with your foot set 180, your ankle would snap. Well,
it's like something you'd see in a scary movie.
Yes, exactly, like The Ring or something like that.
Yeah,
or
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, where that girl crawls out of the well and starts coming to the TV. If that happened,
yeah, I think that was one of the first movies that really started that whole type of movie genre way they do in scary movies.
She can crawl out of the well, but you know what? When she starts coming through my TV, I'm going to kick her right back down the well. I mean, that's just not going to happen. She's not going to come into. She's not going to come into my room. Creepy. But the thing is this real case, 2013. the movie Dark Water with Jennifer Connelly that was made in 2005. Now get that. It was made in 2005. This real case has so many similarities to that movie. And the movie was made before the real case. It's not the other way around. Many people believe that Dark Water was based on Elisa Lam, but that's not the case. The movie was made first, and there was a movie, Dark Water, that was the original. It was a Japanese movie that was made about this mother and daughter that move into this haunted hotel, and they begin to experience weird things with the elevators and water, and the about that the hotel is haunted by a little girl that drowned where? In the water tank on the roof of the hotel. Very, very strange, to say the least. But anyway, okay, moving on. In footage, Lamb is seen exiting and re-entering the elevator, talking and gesturing in the hallway outside, and sometimes seeming to hide within the elevator, which itself appears to be malfunctioning. The video went viral on the internet, with many viewers reporting that they found it unsettling. Explanations range from claims of paranormal involvement to bipolar disorder, from which Lamb suffered. It has also been argued that the video was altered prior to release. That is the truth. It has been altered. It has been altered.
Oh, we know there's or at least we know there's a lot of time missing, right?
Yes. There's 50, I believe it's 54 seconds that have been deleted from the video. The video has been altered because it's been slowed down. It's been slowed down. To or it's been sped up to 135%, which make her motions even more creepy. I mean, just, you know, and it's very grainy. It's not clear like it should be. It's very grainy, like it was. Like something you would see in the 70s, you know, just the pixels are just, it's, and when you watch it, if you look closely, you'll see that her mouth has been pixelated. So, in my opinion, it has, and many other people's opinion, it has been pixelated. My take is that they were afraid that they wanted to make sure that no one could read her lips. So, you know, to solve that, just pixelate her mouth. And
oh, yeah. Good point.
And the timestamp, it's been completely blurred, but you can see enough of it to tell that it does not, there's jumps. So they didn't do quite a good enough job of blurring out the timestamp, which, why would you blur out the timestamp? And that's something that is reoccurring in this case over and over and over, or things like that. And, you know, you can say, you can find out where, when, what, everything, but the key is why. Why?
And we also know Elisa Lam appeared to be playing a game, a very dangerous game. I guess that comes out of Korea, the elevator game, while she was pretty much has been well established why she was pushing the buttons
Well, I'm
through the sequence, or
I'm
or
not
do
so
you
sure
think
about
that's still up
that.
in the air?
I'm not so sure about that. There's the sequence of the numbers. I'm not even sure what they are. But that's another
I can read
theory.
them off and find it. Yeah.
That's another theory, is that she was playing called the elevator game that, like you said, from
She could have been lured in that way.
Korea. Yes. And
But that's
thank you for bringing that up, because that may be the reason. I just not thought of that. That may be the reason why that she chose the Cecil, because it's known as the haunted hotel, the suicide hotel. And the proverbial elevator game from Korea is you find a hotel with 10 or more stories, and there's a list of things that you do, and you press buttons. You go from floor to floor by yourself, and then when you get to a certain floor, it supposedly takes you into another dimension. And that's something about Elisa Lam on her social media, on her Tumblr page, on her Twitter page, and on her blogs. I see time and time again, I see the signs of mirrors, reflections, doppelgangers, and she even talks about time travel. She even talks about different dimensions. So I'm wondering if,
well.
like you said, Sue Ellen.
Well, listen to this.
Go ahead.
They the button sequences. This is a very interesting guy. Whoever is doing this is like, it's in the land of the blind. One eye is king. .wordpress.com.
Yes.
And he said the button sequence. If you take a look at the button sequence that Elisa pushed in the elevator, most people on the net seem to agree that she pressed buttons 14, 10, 7, 4, B, and block hold. And if you look at the new King James Version, a Samaritan woman meets her Messiah. It's John 4:7, and John 4:10, John 4:14. He breaks it down to everything, all the Bible verses that are related to it. And then he goes into doing what you did, and you started doing anagrams on Elisa Lam.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very, they came out to things like, what did you say, Shane?
With
did you find with the Elisa Lam?
well, her name, Elisa, is actually, lo and behold, there was a poem that none other than Aleister Crowley wrote when he was living in the Cecil Hotel in London in 1889, which is the sister hotel to the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. He wrote a poem, Jephthah, about the Jephthah in the Bible, in the book of Judges, the judge that made the foolish vow to God that ended with him sacrificing his daughter to God as a burnt offering. Now, that is one of the most disturbing parts of the Bible that I know of. I mean, and I'm not even sure that that's literal. I think that that's metaphorical, but because I just cannot see a righteous man such as Jephthah was sacrificing his daughter and God honoring that. I mean, we're talking human sacrifice there. So,
Well, yeah.
So if
Abraham got out of it,
right? So if that did take place, regardless, it doesn't matter to me if God saw it as good or what. I see it as bad. I see it as murder, plain and simple. I don't agree with it at all. Matter of fact, I disagree with it. I think it's sickening. But that's what the Bible says, is that he kept his vow and offered his daughter as a burnt offering, sacrificed her to God. And that's more satanic to me, if you ask me. But anyway, the daughter's name in Crowley's poem was Celia, Seila, which is an anagram of Elisa. That's where we get the name Sheila. And it means blind and also sixth, as in the number 6. Okay, but her name, also another anagram of her name, is Elias, which is none other than the prophet Elijah in the Bible. And then you have El, which is El, which means God. It can mean any God. It's just a general term. But Issa, is Arabic for Jesus. So, and then her name, Elisa Lamb, when you take lamb and you put a B on the end, lamb, sounds, the sacrificial lamb. So, and then to take that a step further, in French, you take asile, Asile, it means asylum. It means asylum. And then you take lamb, spelled backwards, is mal, and in French, mal means evil. So you have evil asylum. And then we go even further, because there's a let's see, Cecus or Cesus means blind, and Sextus means sixth. Okay, but Cecus or Cesus means blind, which is related to Celia, another, an anagram of her name. That's where we get the name Cecil. I'll say that again. Cesus means blind, just like Celia means blind. That's where we get the name Cecil, as in the Cecil Hotel. So what's very unsettling about this is it seems like that everywhere you turn, every route you take, it's almost as if she could not escape this, that it was somehow her fate. I mean, and we'll get into that too. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Or even being aligned, and you talk about Aleister Crowley, then you also have the Lamb connection. He was supposedly channeling this extraterrestrial entity called Lamb.
Yes. Awas Lamb.
And it goes with and Lamb, and he stays at the Cecil Hotel in Europe. Little too many connections.
Right. And Lamb, the entity Lamb, looks, Crowley drew what he said was lamb, and it looks like the modern day alien gray. Just
And a lot of people think that like his channeling is what Whitley Strieber based his book Communion on. It's rumored.
well, it wouldn't surprise me. Whitley Strieber has voiced his opinion now, later. I mean, he said that he's not so sure that what he saw as aliens were in fact demons. I think that that's what they are. I think, plain and simple, I don't think that they have your best interest in mind. They're not, they're not here to be your friend. Not at all. And that's what he said. But
he said they were aliens, or I couldn't hear you. You cut out, or are you saying that he said they were otherworldly,
said
more angelic?
He said that what he originally saw as aliens, that he now suspects were demons. Yes,
okay.
Yes, right. Jacob. Crowley's demon was lamb. Yes,
mm-hmm.
Yes, and
that was supposed to be his guardian angel, I believe. You know how he believes that we all have a guardian angel that we have to come in contact with.
Well,
in the religion of Thelema.
Yeah, Crowley was definitely a character, and could do.
And he seems to pop up involved in just about everything.
Yes, he does. If you get down to it, so Elisa, let's see. Okay, let me find this here. Okay. It says, the circumstances of Elisa Lamb's death, once she was found, also raised questions, especially in light of the Cecil Hotel's history in relation to other notable deaths and murders. Her body was naked, with most of her clothes and personal effects floating in the water near her. It took the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office 4 months after repeated delays to release the autopsy report, which reports no evidence of physical trauma and states the manner of death was accidental. Guests at the Cecil, now rebranded as Stay on Main, sued the hotel over the incident because they were drinking water that she was literally decomposing in. They alerted hotel staff about the water tasting bad and the water being dark, and it was her body decomposing in the tank. So they were drinking that water. They were consuming her, in a sense, and I believe that those responsible, if that's the case, somehow that was one of their purposes is for that to happen, such as when in the Catholic Church, people they eat the flesh of Christ and drink his blood, right? Which, well, I think the same thing with Elisa Lam was they wanted that for
she was a virgin sacrifice, an innocent sacrifice. The more innocent, the more charged, the more energy they get from their ritual.
Right.
Purportedly.
Right. she was I'm not I'm not well there's a lot to this, so I'm not just yes, but
Yeah,
you're
you
right. But yeah, well, Mona, that's what I was going to say. Thank you. Mona says I thought she was promiscuous. I wouldn't say she was promiscuous, but she wasn't a virgin, and she wasn't shy.
No.
She was very open about being sexual, and was outspoken and everything. Matter of fact, there, and don't take this the wrong way or whatever, but there are some, and it's really hard to find, but there are some to say that there was a dark side to her, possible connections or involvement in the occult. And
I only meant innocent by her name, Lamb.
Oh, okay.
The Lamb being.
But in from what I've gathered, researched, what I've found, and let me tell you, finding anything about her, is like pulling teeth, not just regular teeth, wisdom teeth. I mean, it is so hard to find anything, and when you do, you've really accomplished something, because I'm talking. I've been on this day and night, and it just leads to nothing so many times. And when you do find something, it's a real gem. I mean, it's a real find. And of course, I check and recheck to make sure that it's true, because, like I said, there's so much disinfo out there on this. And but she,
and they also Shane, they never mentioned that her glasses are missing, because you see her in the elevator, she doesn't have glasses on.
right. They also, it's been said that her laptop was missing, and this and that. That, to my knowledge, is not true. To my knowledge, the LAPD has her laptop, or her laptop was with her things at the hotel, but her glasses, that's another point of contention. Is, people say that that she was very very farsighted. That she was very farsighted. She could see things far away, but she couldn't read things up close. Okay, and that she was basically, she needed her glasses, but there's many other people post that say that she did not need her glasses, that she could see fine without them. So that's one thing that I still need to check and confirm, is if that's true, if that's false, what's what. Because let me tell you, this has so many twists and turns. For some reason, this is the most difficult topic, case, whatever, that I have ever investigated, researched in my life. It has so many twists and turns, ups and downs. I'm talking, it is, you want to talk about going down the rabbit hole. I mean, this is the ultimate rabbit hole. And again, the question is why? Why is it? What's being hidden? Who's being protected? I don't know, but I bet I find out. It says, let's see. It says here, guests at the Cecil, now rebranded the Stay on Main, sued the hotel over the incident, and Lamb's parents filed a separate suit later that year. The latter was dismissed in 2015. And I have the documentation of that lawsuit that I'll share with you, and we'll take that step by step. Some of the early internet interest noted what were considered to be unusual similarities between Lamb's death and the 2005 horror film Dark Water. The case has since been referenced in international popular culture. Okay. So, okay, it says she traveled alone on Amtrak and inner-city buses once she was once she arrived in San Diego. She didn't travel from Canada to San Diego on Amtrak and buses. It says she visited the San Diego Zoo and posted photos taken there on social media. Now this is very, very important right here. On January 26th, she arrived in Los Angeles. After 2 days, she checked into the Cecil Hotel near downtown Skid Row on January 28th. Okay. My question is, this has been overlooked. Nobody's asked this question, but I'm going to ask it. Where did she stay for 2 days in Los Angeles? Did she sleep on the streets? I don't think so. Where did she stay? Who did she stay with? She had to stay with somebody. Or she had to stay in a hotel, motel. She didn't sleep on the streets. So, and she wasn't supposed to leave. On her itinerary, she was going to be in San Diego until the 27th and then move on. But lo and behold, she arrives in Los Angeles on the 26th and checked into the Cecil Stay on Main Hotel on the 28th at approximately 4:30 p.m. And it's been said, now I can't confirm this, but it's been said that she was brought there by a couple, a man and woman, that they dropped her off, and I believe another girl or another couple of girls, and then they left. This couple left. Okay. Now, she was initially assigned a shared room, and this has been confirmed in the court documents that I obtained, the depositions that the general manager, Amy Price, gave. She was initially assigned a shared room on the hotel's 5th floor, room 506B, not the 4th floor, not room 412, and people are saying renting room 412 because they think that was the room she stayed in. It's insane. This is the 5th floor. So, her roommates complained about what the hotel's lawyer would later describe as certain odd behavior, and she was moved to a room of her own after 2 days. Now, the court documents, Amy Price says that they received complaints about odd behavior, and she was moved to a private room on January 31st, 2013. Her checkout date. What? I mean, she was moved to a private room on the day she's going to check out? How does that even make sense? Nobody's asked that question. Why was she moved on the day she's going to check out?
What did she do that upset these people?
Well,
and could those be the two guys that were seen handing her something? We don't know. Who are those people she stayed with?
Nobody knows. But I did read where what some of her odd behavior is Post-it note incident, where she was leaving Post-it notes on certain people's beds because it was like was a shared room. She was leaving Post-it notes on certain people's beds where she had written, "Please leave." And it was freaking them out, Now, many people have said that she was bipolar, but there's been others that said that she was not bipolar, that she was autistic, that she was a high-functioning autistic, she had autism, but she's high-functioning. She herself says that in her blog and on social media that she was very loud, spoken, very open, very honest, rude, and that she didn't have a filter. She also talks about her depression, her anxiety, and her fatigue, and just it's very sad. It's very sad to But but she was moved to a private room on the day that she's going to check out. Okay. Now, my question is did she even stay in that room? I mean, at all. What time was she moved? Was she moved to that room? And then my other question is in addition to where did she stay from the 2 days and 2 nights before she checked into the Cecil? The other question is who actually saw her in Los Angeles at all? Who saw her do anything besides the Cecil Hotel staff and one other person, the manager of the last bookstore, a huge bookstore a few blocks away from the Cecil Hotel, the manager, Katie Orphan. Katie Orphan and the Cecil Hotel staff are the only people that have said and stated that they saw Elisa Lam in Los Angeles. No other person that I know of, to my knowledge, has even said that they even saw her at all. I find that very strange. No friends, no roommates, nobody. Just those people. Your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? Those of you that are on the live chat, and Sue Ellen, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's...
I think there's a lot of things that need to be answered. This case, I mean, even going forward into getting into her posts, I think are very interesting. I mean, and who could think that Elisa Lam, I don't know when we're going to talk about this, but how could Elisa Lam be also connected to a tuberculosis test?
Right.
What else, Shane?
Right. See, that's another thing is...
and a cloaking device, and an actual scientific, like the cloaking device in, Harry Potter, an actual cloaking device.
Yes. Quantum invisibility that she posted on her on her social media, Twitter, about a cloaking device that was being developed by a Canadian company and sold to the U.S. military. That was on the 13th, I believe, January 13th. And then she...
Yeah, they were getting... She was saying that they were getting Pentagon funding.
Right. And then she goes missing on January 31st, around midnight. But the question is again, nobody's asking the right questions. My question is okay, no one but the hotel staff saw her, and they said that they saw her, that she was in the hotel, and that she was always by herself. And the Los Angeles Police Department state that she arrived in Los Angeles on the 26th. Okay, if she didn't check into the Cecil until the 28th, how did Los Angeles police know definitely when she arrived in Los Angeles? Were they tracking her for some reason? Was she being watched? I mean, really, who is Elisa Lam? She's much more than just a college student, I believe. I think she was being tracked before she left Canada. I think she's being tracked the whole way. I think that's why that LAPD say, yeah, she arrived the 26th, when everybody else says, well, she checked in on the 28th when she arrived in Los Angeles, which is wrong. LAPD know when she arrived, what time she arrived, and why. Why do they know that? And also, just before I forget this, the autopsy report, which I have, the official autopsy report, states that that during the autopsy, that detectives Tennell and another detective, Stark, I believe, I'll have to check that, were present during the autopsy. What? Are you serious? You have two Los Angeles police detectives that are present for her autopsy. Now, I was a funeral director. I worked in the funeral business, funeral director and embalmer for over 20 years. That's insane. That is insane. You do not have, police detectives, policemen, they do not stay for an autopsy. Why did these two detectives stay for the autopsy of Elisa Lam? Were they, I'm sorry, but were they what were they waiting for? Were they there in case, like, Alien was repeated and they needed to, shoot the thing, I mean, what's going on? Because if they did that on every case, with the number of people that are found dead in Los Angeles, that's all they'd be doing 24/7. They wouldn't have time to do anything else. So you tell me, why were they there? I believe I know, but I want to hear what you think. Why were they there? Why were they there watching, peering over the shoulder of the coroner as he did his investigations? Your thoughts? That's right, Jacob. Exactly what I'm saying. Why? It's always why.
They wanted to make sure they get the coroner to say what they want them to say, quite possibly.
Yeah. Intimidation? Like, yes.
Pulling range?
You would really be in your best interest to write this up as, that's right. They were following orders, true, but they were also, I believe, I can't say for sure, but it sounds to me like that there was a lot of emphasis put on she's dead, and it better be an accident.
And why do you think that is?
I don't know just yet, but there's a lot more at stake here.
I think there's some place to start, and I think it's the big bang is that the Chase family owns the Cecil.
Well, the Chase,
or did own it until maybe they sell it recently.
The Chase family now. There's a lot of Chase families, so I mean. Are you talking about like the family of the Chase Bank? I mean, which
I think quite possibly.
Well,
yes. I mean, his father was very esteemed, and they're very esteemed.
Right, but
wealthy family.
But I don't know for sure that that's the same Chase as the Chase Banking, so I don't know. I mean, sure. I mean, they're the same name, but I mean,
I tried to look up stuff, and it's impossible to get to YouTube.
Right. It's very much so. It's very, very difficult. But
and then we can go even further into some really crazy stuff and what is located adjacent and has access into the Cecil.
Right.
The company, an actual the photography movie company attached right next door.
Yes, there was a building there called it's a storefront called Tuck, and there's a sign there that says that you can rent that building or that studio for filming, and what I think is that that could be a place where she could have been taken, and she could have been sexually assaulted. She could have been raped. She could have been. This gets really, really deep. It gets really, really dark because there's a room on the 15th floor, which is actually the 14th floor, because the Cecil does not have a 13th floor because of the superstition. But anyway, the 15th floor, it has rooms listed up to room 1532. However, there is a room at the very end that is not rented. It's room 1533. And it is right next to the rooftop access, staircase, and onto the roof. Now, that room is not a room that is rented again. But keep in mind that that it has been said that Elisa Lam met some people, and she did meet someone in San Diego, because she talks about that she had misplaced or she had lost her cell phone, and her friend, emphasis he, was kind enough to give her a cell phone that he had that he wasn't using anymore. I say, her cell phone, she didn't misplace it. It was stolen. And everything in her phone was checked and meticulously studied, and to this day, her phone has not been found. My question is, did they ping it? Did they even attempt to find the phone? Nobody knows. But it has also been said that she was chatting online December 2012 into January 2013, before she left for her trip, that there was an LA porn director that had contacted her and was talking to her and was offering her a part in one of his films. And I have located and one of the there was a porn director that was seen at the Cecil at the time Elisa Lam was there. I have photographs of this individual. I won't name him now, but I do know his name, and I do have the pictures. I do have the photos. Not just him, but there are two more individuals that are there. I haven't identified them yet, but it's just a matter of time before I will. And
Shane,
yes.
Do you want to know? Guess when Herbert Chase died?
When?
He died on March 21st. I'm sorry, July 6th, 2013.
Okay.
So he died right after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And he died on the equinox, or what do you call it when it's the March? Yeah.
Hmm.
Died, right?
Well, that's interesting.
He was born on the equinox. He died July 6th.
And that just adds to it.
Santa Monica. Yeah, he died right after it. Was there something to hide, or did he couldn't handle it, so the stress got him?
I don't know. Certainly, it would be stressful. But this adult film director, this porn director, is not the one that was in contact supposedly in contact with Elisa. It's another one. It's another director, actor, whatever, and he shoots these porn films featuring young Asian women, a lot of them, and so that's why that he contacted her, because she was very, very attractive. She was very beautiful, and I think most people, predators, whatever you want to call them, they would see that she was also naive. She actually posted on her social media details about her trip, and that she was willing to meet up with people that she knew online, or that followed her. Oh my God. Please, 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 please keep this in mind. I mean, women, guys too, but especially women, don't do that. My God. I mean, that is, you might as well wear a sign saying, "Murder me." I mean, oh my God. Especially someone like her. I mean, she could have been a model. Just absolutely beautiful. And to do that, to actually say, yes, this is where I'll be, this is where I'm going, and I would like to meet up with people, meet up with friends on the internet. Let me tell you something. You don't know. Well, sometimes you do. But it takes time. It takes time, not 2 months. And you damn sure don't place an ad. Yeah, you don't place an ad, so to speak, as I'll be traveling alone, and I'd like to meet up with people that follow me and friends, and it's like, oh my God, that's a recipe for disaster. And I think that's what happened. I think that someone or some group, that they began talking with her. Yeah, come on, we'll meet in San Diego, and if things work out well, she talked about how she was lonely and she just wanted to be loved, which is very sad. I mean, and evidently she did meet up with someone, or with some people, with a group. My question is, who are they? And who's the guy that gave her his cell phone? To this day, that's not been addressed. Nobody's asked the question, who is the guy? What's his name? Now, it's been said that there is a man in his middle to late 30s that is involved in this, but that he's protected because he's from a very rich elite family. And my answer to that is, I could care less. I could care less. I don't care if he's the son of an angel or the son of heaven itself. I mean, if he's involved, which somebody is, I mean, the guy has to have a name. What's his name? Where was he? Did he follow her to the Cecil Hotel? Is that why she stayed there? What's his role in this? Who is involved? Who did she meet in San Diego?
And who are the two guys that dropped something off to her in the hotel?
Yes.
Or the two guys
yes.
you met with?
That's actually on video. That's on video. The LAPD have it. They say that they have a video where two men accompany her into the Cecil, and they give her a box. And she takes the box and gets into the elevator, and they don't see her again. And the two men leave the hotel, and they never see them again. Who are the men? This is 2019, for God's sake. I mean, you're going to tell me that you have a girl that goes missing, winds up dead in a water tank, decomposing. You have the video of two men entering the hotel with her. Now keep in mind, the hotel staff, what did they say? Oh, yeah, we've seen her here, but she's always alone. Objection, Your Honor. That's not alone. When you're with two men, that's not alone. That's not being alone. That's on your surveillance cameras. So, no, because if it was the detectives, keep in mind, the LAPD have the video. They're not detectives. They don't know who they are. They say that they gave her the box and they left. And it's just like, okay, we're supposed to accept that and just go on? No, I say no. What's in the box? What was in the box? Is my question. And who were the men?
Mm-hmm.
And then...
And I want to know how the owner could have all this happening and not know anything about anything.
Well, right. And it has been there's this picture online of Elisa Lam in the she's standing inside the elevator, and she's holding bags. She's been shopping or whatever, maybe getting some food or whatever. But she's standing there, and the photo is taken by a hotel security guard because he's taking it with his body camera. How do I know this? Because there's a mirror there, and you can see him. You can see the reflection. You can see him taking the picture of her in the elevator with his body cam, with his body camera. My question is, why? Why are you taking a picture? Why are you taking photos of a young woman in the elevator going up to her room? I mean, you're hotel security?
Yeah, how convenient is that?
You're a hotel security guard, and you're taking a picture for what reason? Why? That does not make sense to me. Unless you're taking a picture because, number one, you're attracted to her, you think she's sexy, or you have other things in mind. You need to identify this certain individual for other people. Now, this is another thing, is the door to the rooftop alarm. The door to the rooftop has an alarm that can only be turned off or deactivated with a key that is maintained by the hotel maintenance staff. Now get this. In the court documents, it is said by all parties involved, Detective Wallace Tennell, General Manager Amy Price, Chief Engineer Pedro Tovar, and the man that found her, Santiago Lopez, that in the months of January and February, that alarm was never set off. Which means that, number one, either no one accessed that door and went to the roof, or they did and they deactivated the alarm. There's no two ways about it. There's no other way. There is
no other way.
It's one of the
They
two.
were already, and they never even spoke of how they got around that.
Right.
How she got up there.
Right. Matter of fact, this is something that I find so incredibly inept. Inept. I don't believe it's ignorance. I believe that it is a conspiracy. And just because I say that does not mean I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I assure you this is connected to so many things, on so many levels. You would not, would take days, many, many shows, which we will do, to explain this. And just to keep this in mind, I was on YouTube making comments and about some of the things that I'm talking about now, about things that haven't been addressed, and how I thought personally that she was a victim of some type of red room, which I believe may be the room that's not rented, 1533, which is conveniently right by the roof and can only be accessed by hotel employees. I believe that is the red room, also known as rape room, where, and I'm not accusing anyone. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying this is my theory. I'm not saying the hotel employees did it. I'm not saying that they did not do it. I'm just giving you a theory, is that she was taken, or she was invited to that room where there were people there. And what if she found out too late that she was going to be raped, and it was going to be streamed live, because this does take place. People say, oh, well, there's no such thing as snuff films. There's no such thing as that. It's just in the movies. No, it's not. Now, I'm not saying that it was a snuff film. It may have been. I have no idea. But I do believe that she was raped. And could it have possibly been streamed live to people willing to pay $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to watch it? I'm just putting that out there. And then, what if she died during? Well, we better do something. Well, we can't take her down.
And
14
it could
floors.
all be.
What now?
And it can all be for sick hype. Listen to this. There's a website called Kickstarter where they actually ask you what happened to Elisa Lam, and they ask for a pledge of $5 to watch the video, or a pledge of $40. What mysterious happened to Elisa Lam? It's they're offering T-shirts. I saw that in Florida where that Versace or whatever was murdered, and everybody was trying to stand over there, and I thought it was just absolutely disgusting. Seeing all that energy.
What they're doing?
This girl's death. They even made a video game based off of her.
Right. But this is a website that is doing what now? That they're offering?
For money they're offering, if you do a pledge, you get a Blu-ray DVD of the film, and you get haunted Los Angeles T-shirts with another. You join the sleuth, Who Killed Elisa Lam, shout out on Facebook. Mysterious Vintage Photos ebook.
Right.
Stream the Elisa Lam movie. It's become like freaking porn.
Oh, well.
Her death.
Right.
And this is what that's sensationalized the Cecil, and it'll go down in history. It had been quiet for a while, and her death was the one that made all of it sensationalized. And you know how much that's going to make it worth for people wanting to live there?
Right.
You'd be very surprised. People will pay top money because they want to be scary, haunted. They believe there's energy there, lots of energy for them to connect with. The energy and spirits they want to connect with. And they all made that energy possible with the christening of Elisa Lam. Absolutely sick.
Right.
And tell you anybody out there participating, you're freaking sick.
Right. Well, that's, yeah. Yeah, I think that speaks for itself. I mean, can't stop it, but anybody that purchases that stuff, I mean, you're just as bad as they are. So you need to seriously take a look at yourself if you do that. But anyway, so the let me find here what I have as far as the files. Here we go. Okay. All right. Okay. What I have here is this is the motion for summary judgment. This is the case of Elisa Lam's parents versus the Cecil Hotel stay on Main, but it's not called that. It's actually called something else, legal terms, everything, which I'll read at the end. But it says here that I won't read the obvious. I mean, it says the defendants operate a 600-room hotel in downtown Los Angeles called Stay on Main. This is dated September 5th, 2013. 2013 complaint for damages, Exhibit A. The hotel is a 15-story building that was originally constructed in the 1920s. The hotel is configured into an E-shaped pattern with 3 separate wings that are connected. The hotel roof is a restricted area that is off limits to hotel guests. It is not marked nor indicated on any hotel marketing material as a common service area for guests. It is not represented to any guest as a common service area, and it is not made available to guests even upon request. There are only 4 ways to gain roof access. 3 of the ways are exterior fire escapes on the sides of the hotel which run the entire height of the building. The 4th and final means of roof access is through an interior staircase leading from the 14th floor to the roof. Now keep in mind, when I said that the 14th floor is actually, that's the top floor, okay? But they say here, declaration of Pedro Tovar, the hotel is a 15-story building that was originally constructed in the 1920s. Okay, it doesn't have a 13th floor. So how can it be 15 floors? if there's no 13th floor? Wouldn't that be 14? 14 floors?
Mm.
So, and this is sworn. This is this is a sworn deposition. I mean, come on. And that's just, something very small. I mean, just
and there are a lot of things, that because a lot of people observed the film and they thought that suggested that Elisa was suffering from a manic episode.
That's right.
And it's quite possible her psychomotor agitation that she had on the video and unintentional, purposeless motion, and things like that. But what triggered it? Was it fear? Those things can also be triggered by fear.
Right. And if there's anyone listening who, to those of you who are listening, and to those of you that are listening who maybe, and I'm just saying just maybe, a part of this, and you know what's going on with this, I just want you to know that I know that there's 2 elevator videos, and I happen to have the other elevator video of Elisa, supposedly of Elisa Lam. I'm sorry, of Elisa Lam. And I just want to state that the video that was released to the public of quote unquote Elisa Lam, I'm not so sure is Elisa Lam. Yeah, big shock there. I believe that video may be someone who is acting, an actress, somebody that is acting like Elisa Lam, for the express purpose of what Sue Ellen just said, to make people believe she had a manic, psychotic breakdown and she was hallucinating and seeing, people and things. I believe that's why that the footage has been altered, why the timestamp has been basically eradicated, is because I think that video may have been made after Elisa Lam was dead. And think about it. What better way to cover your tracks than to say, hey, man, we need to do something quick and make her appear to be, that's right, not exactly hard to find an actress in Hollywood. We need to do something quick and make her appear to be like crazy, like she broke. And then you have the Cecil Hotel staff. Yeah, she was always walking around the hotel by herself.
And also another theory, when she was coming out of that elevator, at first it looked to me like somebody could have grabbed her when she went to the left, drugged her, and
Yes.
she started making all those handfuls. And I just read here from a Reddit article that they never even, the toxicology report did not test for date rape
Absolutely.
drugs like roofies,
GHB.
Rohypnol, GHB, ketamine.
Yeah.
How could they not test for that?
None of that was tested.
Right there.
And they did a rape.
The presses.
They did a rape test, both vaginal and anal, and the results were never made public. Why is
They
that?
just said she was an erratic, bipolar woman, and end of story.
Right. Now, explain to me how that when you put cause of death, accidental drowning, cause or related but not a cause, her being bipolar, which is on the coroner's report. What does bipolar have to do with being in the water tank? They say, well, she went up there in a manic episode and jumped in and committed suicide. What? I'm not accepting that. Number one, she was calling her family every day, letting them know she was okay. Number two, they said she was never suicidal, that she did not, yes, Jacob, exactly right. That's why they were there. Why? To cover. So, I believe so the story would come out the way they wanted it. Exactly right, Jacob. Yep. That's why I believe that there were detectives at the autopsy, during the autopsy. And I believe that the coroner is giving us a message when he writes detective, and he gives their names and their badge numbers, their numbers. He says, were present during the autopsy. It's kind of saying, hey, these guys were here and they were, yeah.
There's a WikiLeaks that states also that the rape kit that they took from Elisa wasn't processed, mostly because she was confirmed by eyewitnesses to be alone that night, and there was no alcohol in her system, and there was, in their eyes, overwhelming evidence of her being in a manic episode.
Yeah. So okay. Well, let's.
The body of evidence doesn't point to someone being taken advantage of. So why are they going to put their valuable money and resources on a sensational case like this?
Right. So she had a minute amount of alcohol in her system, which was like 2%, like barely even there, and she was obviously having a manic episode. So let's not process the rape kit. I mean, to hell with it. Why? Are you serious? I don't care.
They didn't even test this whole girl. They didn't even test her for a rape drug. This poor girl.
Yeah.
People are making so much money off of her.
Which is what I'm saying. Is nothing was processed, and they're talking about, well, because she was an international, because she was from Canada, we gave special attention to this case. Really? I really don't want to even think about what you do to a U.S. citizen. I mean, really? You give special attention to this case? Well, because of Interpol. Let's get Interpol in on this. Moni say, what happened to the coroner? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean,
because she's meaning, how could he go ahead with it, probably. But if he was pressured, and that's why the police and, probably what was the rank of the other person? You said detectives?
Was a detective too, but like Jacob said, they were acting on higher orders. I believe that he's right.
Oh, of course, they can't act.
But
right.
I was on YouTube, and there were people.
Oh, where's the coroner now? That's a good question.
I'm not sure. I think he's still there. I mean, but I have read, it was on YouTube, and there was a person that was like anonymous, or it was a chat room or something, and this person said, be careful investigating this one. Said this is just the tail of the beast. He said, I would say more, but I value my life. Now, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, very creepy. You know, and that's all was said, and boom, the guy's gone. I mean, it's like, you know, just wanted to say that, you know, because I was bringing up some you know, points about, yeah, that's just it, Mona. Maybe you can get some actual info from him if he's willing to talk about it. That's just it. Mm-hmm. Nobody's talking about this. I mean, nobody. Especially, I mean, people that are anonymous, that aren't even a part of it, they're scared to say anything about it for some reason. As I said, because they say, I value my life. I don't want to wind up like...
Well, it still might be possible to break down, to maybe track those detectives down and corner and see where they are now.
Well,
and maybe contact them.
Yeah, but that contacting them directly would, in my opinion, would be very dangerous. I mean, because...
Well, they've been interviewed 1,000 times on this. I'm looking at all these cases. I'm sure people have been knocking down their doors to get information.
Right.
I mean, they have even a whole team where they're giving donations to the huge agency that's out there looking for her. You know.
Well, my response to that is they have, you know, given depositions that are conflicting,
legally binding. Yeah,
but they're conflicting. So if you lie once, you're gonna lie again. I mean, they're not, in my opinion, they're not going to say, okay, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, it's... Yeah,
the older that is. Maybe on their deathbed confession. Get them to talk. These people are a lot older now. You'd be very surprised at what burdens people will want to unload.
Well, that's just it. They're not on their deathbeds. I mean, they're... To my knowledge, they're alive and kicking. I mean, and she's not. And, but... I want to build the facts and then present them, present the facts, and then not so much ask questions, but just present it to them to where it's undisputable that they lied, that they are covering something up, and then which would force them to spill the beans on what really happened and why it happened. And yeah, I mean, God, talk about dangerous. Talking to the detectives, I wouldn't.
Wouldn't talk to the detectives who said they wouldn't trust them. You know, but there's times, I'm going to say, sociopaths, coroner's one of their favorite jobs. I'm just saying.
Now this is where we'll stop tonight with this, but it says here in this court document, an extensive search of the entire hotel, including the roof, was performed by the LAPD over the course of multiple days starting on February 5th, 2013. This was declared by Tovar, Price, the general manager, and Detective Tennell. They all three, you know, an extensive and exhaustive search. Particular attention was paid by LAPD because it involved a foreign national. The LAPD set up a command post in the lobby of the hotel and organized numerous search teams who were paired with a hotel employee with a master key. Again, Tovar, Santiago Lopez, Amy Price, and Wallace Tennell, Detective Wallace Tennell, testified to this. And then The teams then searched every nook and cranny of the hotel, including the roof. Again, Tovar, Price, Detective Tennell all testified. That's their... Okay. The truth is, in other documents, that's not true. They say plainly that they searched, that their search was limited. They only searched the rooms that they could search with probable cause because I believe 301 of the rooms are where people live. It's their resident. Right, Jacob. Every nook and cranny except for the water tanks. Yes. Exactly. Okay. But this says the teams didn't search every nook and cranny of the hotel, including the roof. It says they set up a command post in the lobby of the hotel and organized numerous search teams who were paired with the hotel employee with a master key. An extensive and exhaustive search of the entire hotel. That's not the entire hotel when you don't look in, 300 plus rooms. But they say these things. They say these phrases and people accept it because it's coming from the law enforcement. It's coming from law enforcement. It's coming from the authorities. I'm not buying it. And the extensive search, you're right, Jacob. On that roof, there are two things that are standing. There's the water pump house or building, and there are the 1,000 gallon water tanks. Okay. If I'm on the roof and I'm searching for a young woman's body, where am I going to look? Besides the, open roof, the flat roof. I'm going to look in the water pump house and the water tanks, right? Wrong. They didn't. They didn't search them. Just, But every nook and cranny of the hotel, including the roof, was searched. No, it wasn't. Because if it had been, you would have found her body. Also, just a quick thought. They brought in cadaver dogs. They brought in units, plural. Canine units, plural. After the LAPD detectives found nothing during their search, a second search of the entire hotel, including the roof, was conducted by numerous canine units. Tovar, Price, Tennell, all declared this. Unfortunately, Elisa was not found during the LAPD searches. Now, you're telling me that this girl is literally decomposing in this water tank and with the lid open. Whether it was open or closed, it wouldn't matter. I mean, a decomposing body, you're going to smell it, especially dogs. And the cadaver dogs, their sense of smell is 30,000 times what a human being can smell. So you're not going to tell me that she was in that tank literally rotting, her flesh rotting off of her bones into the water, and the dogs not smell that. Now, it has been said, right, Jacob, right. It has been said that after that the dogs picked up her scent, of course, on the 5th floor, and then they did not take her scent any higher than the 9th floor or something like that. There was a certain was a certain floor. I believe it was the 9th floor where they just didn't. They supposedly no more scent. Now, another thing is if she was on the roof and climbed into the water tank, there would be fingerprints, right? There were no fingerprints taken. There was nothing. Nothing was dust. Nothing. Why? Why?
And I will also say Elisa's blog post. She had a blog post apparently complaining about some creepy guy that was staying in the hotel and creeping her out.
Yes,
it's entirely possible that somebody's responsible, you know. And they also never brought up what I saw in the autopsy report, and Shane and I were talking about, is there was evidence of anal bleeding.
Right.
So, it's unclear if she was given the rape kit, if at least if she had that anal bleeding, you'd want to explore a little further. But no, none of it was used.
Well, right. And then it says that, Santiago Lopez, when the guest complained about the water pressure, said Santiago Lopez went up to the roof and saw that one of the water tanks, the lid was off, and he looked in and he said floating 12 inches face up was the deceased body of an Asian woman. Let me tell you something. I have the autopsy photos of Elisa Lam, okay? And not to get graphic or anything, but okay, he said that he saw the body floating face up of an Asian woman. Let me tell you, there's no way you could tell this was an Asian woman. I mean, you could tell it was a woman, but I find it difficult to believe that he could look at her and say that it was an Asian woman. Because
I have no idea. I'd have to look at the data on that.
Because it's it's pretty bad. I mean, she had been there almost 3 weeks. So you can just imagine. And and
you said that the skin was sliding off of her arms, so she had to be pretty bad.
Yeah. And but anyway, it is it's very, very sad, but we will get into much more next week or whatever, and we will keep doing this until we're done with it, until we have covered everything that we can cover. But it is very interesting that, and I will leave you with this, that the last bookstore, the last place that Elisa was actually seen alive, except for on the hotel security video, their website address or IP address, VPN, whatever you want to call it, is is listed in Burnaby, British Columbia, where Elisa's from. Okay, now when you type in that the zip code, and it's a P.O. box. Now, this is the last bookstore in Los Angeles, California. When you type in the what is listed as its IP address or VPN address, website address, For the last bookstore in Los Angeles, California, it comes up a P.O. box in Burnaby, British Columbia, which is where Elisa's from. Okay. You type in on Google Earth that P.O. box and the zip code, and I kid you not, it comes up to the location of the cemetery where Elisa Lam is buried. Forest Lawn Cemetery. Now that is insane. That is not by chance. That is not coincidence. Now we're talking Katie Orphan, the manager of the last bookstore, was the last person supposedly to see Elisa Lam alive. And she describes how she talked to her, and Elisa was buying books for her family to take back. And I'm thinking, first of all,
she was happy and upbeat.
Yeah, she was happy. She was upbeat. She was, okay. This was 3 weeks after Elisa went missing. This woman is a manager of a bookstore that's 10,000 square feet that has like thousands of people. How did she remember Elisa Lam so clearly? And what's up with the last bookstore having their IP VPN address, whatever you want to call it, for their website located? When you type in the P.O. box again, you type in the P.O. box, the location, into Google Earth, it goes to the cemetery where Elisa Lam's body's buried. Okay? But you take the zip code and you take different businesses or different locations that come up, and you go to Google Earth, you type those in, you connect those businesses with straight lines. Where those lines intersect is not just the cemetery that she's buried in, but her grave, her actual grave, where she is buried. Those lines where they intersect is her exact grave. Now, what does the last bookstore have to do with the grave of Elisa Lam, much less the cemetery that she's buried in? That's what we'll talk about next time. Anyway, that's our...
And
Good.
Also, in closing, I would just like to also just bring up something else that is absolutely insane. During the time of Elisa Lam staying there was the outbreak of the tuberculosis.
Yep.
And they were in the downtown area, and they were testing. And the strange part is the TB test being used in the area was called the enzyme-linked immunoabsorbent assay, called the Lam-Elisa for short. Lam-Elisa.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely insane. So if you want to talk about woo-woo, this case has lots of woo-woo.
Absolutely. The Lam-Elisa TB test kit. It's
right. How
crazy.
could that be?
I
mean, the holographic web of the universe, coincidence, supernatural, providence.
It's something, I'll tell you that.
We'll be exploring that further.
And we will be talking also about the 2014 case of Carmen Yarira Esparza Noriega in Mexico City, 27. She was found in a water tank 11 months after she went missing, after people began to complain about the water tasting horrible. And lo and behold, this young woman's body had been placed in the water tank. And she, like I said, she had been in there 11 months. They could only identify her by her hip implant and her nose surgery. And So, this is Mexico City. This is not the only instance of this. There are many more. Is this the MO of a serial killer? Somebody that does this for,
And are they they're copycatting the Darkwater movie?
Maybe. Who knows? Anything's up. But anyway. But for those of you that took part in the live chat, thank you for joining us. And those of you that are listening, that listened, thank you. Also, if you have any information on Elisa Lam, about what happened to her, feel free to send us an email at thetexaspodcast@gmail.com. I know that there's people out there that know what happened. Some people know. So if you know, just know that you can contact me anonymously, and you don't have to give your name or anything, and just welcome that. Also, if you can contact us at the same email if you choose to do so, but like I said, we will be doing a part 2 on this, and because there's much more, but look into it. It's certainly something that you need to look into, because
and give us your feedback.
Right. Right.
And thank you, Mona.
Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, everybody else that. I think it's Mona and Jacob. Yeah. But
it makes me want to really break down my own name really more and start. All of us need to start looking more closely.
Yeah, really. That's true. But anyway, thank you for thank you for joining us, and join us next time.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, please do so. And if you have any questions or ideas about future shows, or if you would like for us to investigate something that you're going through, or that you have questions about, or that interest you, please let us know, and we will certainly talk about that. Anyway, love and light to you all. Good night, and
good night.
We will see you next time. Thank you all.